I was interrupted because said daughter, for whom I ordered the subway, came in and jokingly sang a song. Who is it that's responsible for not cutting my sandwich? Um, because my Nepalese friend asked me, would you like this subway cut in half? And I said no. So my daughter's biggest problem is that her sandwich wasn't cut in half. Anyway, back to that girl who made the subway sandwich. All right, she was in the middle of that earthquake, and in 2015, and she told me what it was like. She said, and I had a headache. She said afterwards because of all the bouncing around, and I told her I don't even know what that feels like. You know, for living in Australia with a very stable tectonic plate, she knew what that was. Of course, she lives on an unstable. She used to live on an unstable tectonic plate, or in between two tectonic plates, probably being from Nepal. And I said, I have no idea what that even feels like. And she said, it's just like bouncing. She said, the whole earth is bouncing. And she said, I ran outside, and she said, and my neighbour's house just collapsed flat. She used both hands, but I'm holding the phone with the other hand. But she said, clearly the house next door to her just went flat. I said, did anyone die? She said, no, but a hell of a lot of people did die during that earthquake, because I was listening to it on the radio, and I said to her, I remember India helped a lot in the aftermath, and she said a lot of people helped in the aftermath. She said, and that was quite good. So apparently she did say that was quite good. But the point of this whole thing is, if you're a chatty person, you get to feel, not properly. I didn't get the actual feeling of bouncing up and down in an earthquake, but she did. But I got to. It's not about just hearing what she said. It's about watching her face shine, and her eyes light up as she relived the moment, of all of that. And I said, "How old were you at that time?" And she said, "Oh, about 16." So she looked about 16 to me right now because I'm old. So that would make her 21 now. So, she won't feel an earthquake around here, living in Melbourne. But I did mention to her there's another Nepalese lady across the road, and she said she's going to try and look her up. My son ended up good friends with the other Nepalese lady. So many people have got massively interesting things that they've been involved in their lives. If you did get chatting to pretty much everyone you meet, which is something I do, you find out that there are a lot of people that have got amazing stories to tell. If I could be bothered, if I had time, you could just about forget about making YouTube clips like this and just go and interview people up and down the street and say, what's the most amazing thing you were involved in your life, And, because I've never been involved in anything all that fascinating myself. Probably the biggest thing I can remember was that moment when I realised, when the second aeroplane went in on September 11, because I was in bed and I said to my wife, who wasn't my wife then, but I just heard it on the radio because I was listening to the BBC, as I do, being a romantic, and there's an aeroplane hit the World Trade Center, and she thought I meant the World Trade Center in Melbourne, because we've got a World Trade Center. I think her sister had done some work there, and she said, "You're kidding, but she was thinking light plane or something. I don't know what she was thinking." She said, "Oh," but she just stayed there and kept reading her book or whatever. And I said, "I'm just going to go out," and I said, no, World Trade Center in New York. And I said, I'm just going to go out into the lounge room. This is before the days of internet, I think it was, and put the TV on to see if I could see anything. And I put the TV on and went, and you saw the building burning. And it didn't take long. I don't know how long it was, maybe 5 or 10 minutes later. And the second plane went in, and just like about 10 million other people in the world at that instant, I went, oh my God, it's deliberate. You just knew instantly. Oh, it's just amazing. And that's when I yelled out, get out of here. And then she came out and I stayed transfixed to the TV for the rest of the night. But I wasn't there. I was in Australia. So I haven't actually been involved in anything really interesting in my life. I think I haven't. But a lot of people have. Been through big, big things, I've led a sheltered existence. But I get to see and feel and hear what those big moments are like by talking to others. I jumped onto Facebook many years ago. I haven't been on Facebook. I just had to find out what it was all about, Never been on social media since, but while I was on Facebook there for a little while, under assumed names and all that sort of stuff, and not doing the social media thing, not saying things like, no, just no, things like that people put on Twitter. I still see it because it comes through on the news. But I'm a little bit like you used to make pen friends. I had some pen friends when I was young from Sweden and all that sort of stuff, and made a couple of friends here and there. And there was one girl that I made friends with in Nairobi, and I had in-depth conversations with her while certain terrorist attacks were going on. So I got it firsthand, and she was just telling me what she was thinking, how she was feeling, and all that sort of stuff. And she was saying, we need the death penalty for these people and all this sort of thing. She was really emotional about it and all that sort of thing. There were a few that, and just like when I was listening to the Charlie Hebdo shooting, Charlie Hebdo thing, I can never remember if it's Charlie Hebdo or Charlie Hebdo. I think it's Hebdo. Even while the bullets, we were getting alive, while the bullets were ringing around the offices of Charlie Hebdo, I was listening to that while it was happening. Same goes when I was talking to this, Bundatich was her name, and she was a great girl, and she was Kalenjin. They're a sort of super race when it comes to Olympics. Anyway, they win the 100 metres gold medal quite often. All right. Now, and even while there was a quarry, where everyone was lined up, all the workers were lined up along the quarry wall or whatever, or some wall, and they were asked to recite a verse of the Quran, and if they couldn't, they were shot. And then there was another one where, at similar time, the big one was at the university. It was shocking, and she knew the university. Another one was a bus, where they all hopped on the bus or something and just shot everybody who couldn't quote the Quran again. And the other one was a university. There was a shopping mall. There's a university, that was a bad one. There's a few too. This is Al-Shabaab. But I really liked being on Facebook at that time. I gave it up, Well, I only went on there as an experiment anyway, because you have to find out what the fuss is all about. And I said, all right, I know what the fuss is all about. You get to really interact with people you never normally would in real time. And that was good. But you don't need to be on social media to do that sort of thing. You just go down to Subway. I'm going to sneeze in a second. And just chat to the girl behind the counter and find out what her story is. And she'll tell you. She was there for the 2015 earthquake in Nepal. And it's one thing to have listened to that on the BBC while it was happening. But it's another thing altogether to physically be with someone as they describe that to you, the experience of going through the earthquake. And I don't think things like social media and all that sort of stuff can take the place of that. The human interaction of hearing someone's story live. And that'll do. This ended up a two-parter because my daughter interrupted the first part. The girl from Subway who was in the 2015 earthquake.